Okay, so quick overview on the process of getting something from scratch in Zbrush to Maya and ready to pop in to maybe a game. So I'm starting off with a sphere. I know it's a primitive because it doesn't have things like Dynamesh in it. So, and that's what I want to use is Dynamesh. So I hit make Polymesh 3D, and now I can go geometry and Dynamesh. The workflow for me basically is start off with a Dynamesh, get all the basic topology where I want it to be, then Zbrush it, and then I've got something to start from. So once I've Zbrushed it, I'm going to UV it, and then I can paint it, and we're all good. So this is a really, really ugly, quick version of what I do. I duplicate this mesh, Zbrush one of them, and you can see this if I solo it, what it looks like, at least the topology flows. Divide that a few times, and let's project on the details of the high res. Now you can see it's got all the nasty details of this quick temp file. I'll UV map it with the UV master, and now that I've got that, I can delete that high res Dynameshed version, and this piece I'm going to fill with a color, paint on just a little bit of skin texture, as this is just a quick and ugly demo. I'm not going to worry about it. And then under texture map I can say create from polypaint, and I'll go drop my subdivision level to the lowest and go to my normal map and turn on adaptive and hit create normal map. Once I've got that, I can go Z this to Maya, and I'm ready to go. I do want to make sure that I copy my textures and place them in my Maya's project directory so I don't have any issues later on losing texture maps. But that is basically the process for anything I do that is creature related. That's all. Alright, we're starting over. This is just a quick kind of throwaway file, but we'll see how it goes. And I thought I'd go for kind of a, I don't know, a fighter, boxer, the heavy guy at a, I don't know, at some cartel, who knows. Right here I'm using a backface mask under brush auto masks so that my skin doesn't collapse. That's a good thing to know about. When you're doing wings or fingers, lots of times the brush will collapse the geo, and so if you turn on backface mask, that will make it so it only draws on top. It takes a while to get used to the transformation tools in Zbrush. Once you do, they're great. For move, you want to use the middle bubble, and for scale, the ends. And basically all I'm really doing is just kind of playing around looking at this face, and I want to make sure I hollow things out. Because I am using Dynamesh, I want to keep his mouth open, and then when I retopologize him later, I'll have the geometry of the mouth bag, everything I need. So I'm just going to pull a quick neck out here, and have to figure out how we're going to make that look good in a minute, but not to worry. I like to make a sternomastoid right away. Make sure he's got, in this case, Adam's apple, since he's going to be a big guy, and make him just look the part here. No forehead. I don't want him to look like he's got any brains at all. I want him to look like all he knows how to do is beat things down. So, and we're only really going here for the bust, so I'm not worried about taking it down past the collarbones. I'm just going to res this up a little bit so I can get into some of the details. I want to make sure before I finish this, he's got enough resolution to get in there. Now sometimes you need to see part of the mesh alone, so Control Shift Swipe will do a visibility, and then Control Shift Click and Control Shift Swipe again out in space will do different things with visibility. So there I went and hit clay polish to kind of clean them up just a little bit. And now I duplicate him, Zbrush, just like I did with my overview. Find what I like, divide them up a few times, and project on those details. Okay, I like him. I'm going to separate his jaw into a selection, so Control E, once I've got a mask, Control E will make a subtool, or what do you call it, a polygroup, and at that point I've got something that's like a permanent selection. So now I'm just kind of changing his profile. I can close his mouth, which is going to make him a whole lot more interesting. Change his jaw, and I'm kind of liking where he's going. He's got a little bit of a Polynesian, I don't know, some cool things happening here. But time to play around with some of these things. Give him a bit more of a squint and find out what this guy really looks like. I like him being a little more aged than not. I want to give him some eyelids, so push that in with some masks. A little detail here. It helps to have a good idea of real anatomy so you can fudge it easily. And I've kind of messed up his ear a little bit, but I'm okay with that. He is just a test. Alright, so I use the morph target as well. It's a great way to deal with things if you want to play with options. Just save something, a clay polish, and I can go back in and kind of release some of that clay polish. Now I'm doing some UVs, and I'm not super happy with the default that it's given me, so trying a few different things, trying to protect the face so it can be one object. And it ripped it off the body, so I'm going to try it one more time. I don't mind if it rips the ear off, so I'm just going to try to pull this around the head, and that gives me something I can live with. Certain softwares I can paint and use any UV, and then I can transfer that onto a different UV map, but I want something that will give me a good paint from the get-go. So now I'm using some layers to make him asymmetrical, because I want to be able to get back and forth to my symmetry model and then the asymmetry model. So this is where he's going to have a lot more interest, and just simply by coming in here and messing up his head. Humans don't have very decently symmetrical heads, so mess him up. Alright, so it's time to texture this guy. So I'm making a new layer, and I began painting, and I realized that I cannot get it to color, so I decided the best way to do this is just bake it, fill it, and go back and make a new layer. So the layers are cool, but they do have some strange magic with them. So I'm basically going to go overdo what I'm doing right now. I'm going to really try to push some greens on his forehead, some reds in kind of this zone where the nose and cheeks and ears are, and some blues down in his jawline where his where the beard would normally be. A little bit of purple up where your eyelids are, because that's where the capillaries are, and get some blues and things, so you get some purple zone. And I'm overdoing it so that when I back it off, it's still there a little bit. Right now it just looks a bit painted. So now I'm masking with my mask by cavity, and then I can draw in things and kind of give it a little bit of interest where there's creases and things. And I'm just kind of playing around trying to make him a little bit more interesting. And who knows, too much, too little. I thought, what if I gave him a little bit of a sunburn? Would that be a good idea? And not entirely, but it's a nice try. So I'm basically masking things off, backing off the mask, and then I'm going to go back over with a redder area. And yeah, wasn't all that successful, but that's okay. So continue playing around, trying to find like the right level of dirt on this guy. Push the lips again one more time, and I think he's just about ready. So that's what he looks like just as a texture. So I'm going to create a texture map, and then go back to lowest res and create a normal map. And now that I've got that, hit Go Z. And we can Go Z just the head, or the head and the eyeballs. And so I've got that in Maya now. And if I built this in ZBrush, it's going to come really small. So I'm just scaling it up 10 times so it's pretty decent. My grids are feet right here, so that's about right. And there you go. So now I'm just kind of playing around a little tiny bit with some of the blend shading techniques, and that is the workflow to get something from ZBrush from scratch into Maya, looking about right and mostly being game res. We'll talk about retopology and other Maya things in another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.